Hi, Kim here from KMA Accountancy, and another video to bring you the latest info on the extension to the coronavirus job retention scheme. So on Friday, the Chancellor announced the extension to the existing coronavirus job retention scheme. So why did he do that? Well, basically, we're coming out of lockdown. We need to get the economy going. And clearly, a lot of people are still very worried about unfurloughing people and bringing them back into work because they don't know how the social distancing measures are going to work. You know, depending on whether you're a shop business or whatever, you don't know how many people you're going to need to operate your business. And still people don't know how much income's going to come back in, and there's a lot of uncertainty out there. So what the Chancellor's done is, he appreciates the need to kind of get everybody off furlough, but he's done it tapering it slowly, which is really helpful to us as business owners. It does, however, mean, though, that clearly putting a furlough claim together and doing your payroll is actually going to be a little bit more complicated. But, nevertheless, it's a great step forward for us. So what does it mean? Well, in essence, effectively, the Chancellor is going to start tapering off the benefit from August. But it's still going to be there in the current guise for June and July. And that means basically no real change from June. So if your employees are furloughed, then they can't do any work. But what it does mean from July is that as things start to open up, you can bring your employees back part-time. So if you don't have a full-time job for them, I mean, you can obviously bring them back full-time if you need them, clearly, but you can bring them back part-time and then furlough them for the rest of their working week and ultimately get the support from the government. So ultimately, June and July, the government will pay 80% of the wages up to the cap of £2,500, as is currently there, as well as employers' national insurance and pension contributions for the hours that the employee doesn't work. Now, what does that mean in terms of, you possibly have heard that you cannot furlough somebody after the 10th of June. Basically, if you want to furlough somebody, even part-time, you have to have them, they have to have been furloughed for at least 3 weeks before the end of June, which basically means that you have had to have furloughed them by the 10th of June. You will not be able to furlough any new workers. So if anyone, new starts with you, or you've not furloughed them before, and then you suddenly find that you need to furlough them, you have to have done it by the 10th of June. So going forward, in August, the government will continue to pay 80% of wages up to a cap of £2,500 as normal, but the employer will pay the employer's national insurance and pension contributions. So that kind of represents, on average, about 5% of the gross employment costs that the employer has to pay. In September, that changes, and the government will pay 70% of the wages. So then it starts going up to a cap of £2,187.50 for the hours that the employee does not work. So the employer will pay the employer's national insurance contributions, and a contribution that's around about 10% to make it up to 80%. In October, the government will pay 60% of wages for the hours that the employee doesn't work. So obviously, it's starting to diminish. Who can blame the Chancellor? We do need to obviously kickstart the economy, get people back into work, and the government has always said that it couldn't pay employees forever, and they did initially bring it out till June. So hopefully that's really kind of helping you to understand that you know, there is that help. Employees can now come back part-time, so they don't have to work full-time. So it does mean that obviously they can now do some work for you, whereas before, if they were furloughed, they couldn't do anything. So, you know, we haven't got the full details of the scheme yet. That's not going to be announced until the 12th of June. So as it currently stands, you can bring your employees back part-time and claim furlough pay for the time that they are not working. So one would assume that they still can't do any work on the days that they are furloughed, but obviously you can bring them back part-time. So hopefully that's been helpful. I'll talk about the self-employment income support scheme that's also been announced in a separate video. Bye for now.